Hi, I'm Daniel, and in this video I have two animated movies to review. I took a bit of time away from making videos, but I feel like I want to get back into it during February. So, Dreamworks' new movie Orion the Dark released on Netflix recently, and I think it's a good time to return to review it, but not just that. There's also Migration that released last year in most countries, but got delayed until the 2nd of February, the same day. Considering I already made multiple videos on Illumination films, it would feel weird skipping reviewing this one. But at the same time, last year Puss in Boots The Last Wish was delayed, and it would be contradicting since I skipped that movie and not this. So I decided I should pair these up like I did with Elemental and Ruby Gilman. I will go through them slightly quicker. Well, I talk about one movie a lot younger, but I still try to look at each film in enough detail. So, how do Dreamworks and Illumination's newest movies compare? Orion in the Dark were announced quite close to its release, same with the trailer. Dreamworks often does this, but it still showed this was a secondary project with Kung Fu Panda 4 out in March, and also the Dogma movie in 2025. I'm so excited for that in particular. This also released on Netflix, that I don't mind in theory, but they have a pattern of not advertising 90% of the animated films. This may be a smaller production for Dreamworks, but that doesn't mean anything for its quality. So, the story involves Orion as a child with many fears, mainly of the dark. One day, the dark, who is personified as a being, approaches him and gets him to follow him for a day to try and conquer his fears. This sounds like it will be a charming, special, or 30-page children's book, but it's not. There needs to be forced conflict, and the story being made up as it goes along with characters going through the motions. But that's kind of the point, and nitpicking this seems hard when there's more to it. This is getting close to spoiler territory, so maybe skip this section if you want to go completely behind, but it's shown in the first 20 minutes, so I think it's okay to mention. This keeps cutting to an older adult Orion telling the story to his daughter. This format has been done a lot before, but normally they try to even mild. Did it really happen? Wink wink, who knows? And this keeps the magic of the story intact. This just goes too far with how obvious the story isn't real, especially in the last 30 minutes of the movie. This addition ruins any stakes or investment on what was set up. The stories that the characters focused on just fell yet behind by its attempt to do something smart ending up dumb. The movie you need to spend after time after the main story is done just to include the added conflict, but out the epic with the two main characters. There's something nice about parenting and telling stories to future generations here somewhere. This gets in the way of the story. I see why it could be a nice explanation to the random logical messages, but another DreamWorks movie did this better. It's called The Boss Baby. Yes, I'm serious using The Boss Baby as a positive comparison, that's what this movie has done to me. That uses the parent telling their daughter format to push the weirdness and child's perspective of this, and it adds to the message having a younger sibling. Meanwhile, this movie's attempt just ruined what I had for me. I found a couple of the concepts fun and creative, like these other night beings. It had some charm going forward in the first half, but I still wasn't enjoying this even then. This has a conflicted tone. Instead of spending time showing the beauty of night like it should, it just moves on from it. This also severely rushes through Orion and the Dark becoming friends, and the other night beings growing to like him. The story I meant to put here on paper, but the characters are just going through the motions of what the story says they should do. There's also a very annoying and forced conflict to happen, and the tone just throws into something too much for this movie. This also just doesn't do much with its ideas. It isn't really the dark, more close to night where following the skylight and not the very concept itself. I've seen this movie described as introspective, but it's not really. They just bring up death happens for a minute then move on. From what I've said, I think you should have known I wasn't a fan of this movie, but it did some things well. The animation may look cheaper at points, especially the human designs, that has some very nice colouring and non-human designs. It also carefully incorporates some 2D animated imagination sequences that looked cool. This movie isn't really a comedy, but it had some funny lines, mainly from the dark. This character is the best part of the movie. He is funny, and it's interesting how he wants to not be feared by children. The only problem is they do nothing to end this arc, and this is due to the problem that it isn't real to begin with. There's Orion, who had potential with the opening showing his social anxiety through his narration. However, the merger of that where focus on other fears don't feel well, and he barely learns much. The idea of still being scared is interesting, but it doesn't show how he lives despite fear. There's also his daughter Hypatia, who isn't a bad character, but quite literally invades the plot. The other night entities are fun gimmicks, but yet are more than that, which is a shame for what could have been a follow-up to Rise of the Guardians in its feel. There's also a boy in love interest introduced to amount to nothing, a yacht character to amount to nothing, and that's about it. This simple setup means little characters, but when there's little time to develop them, it ends in an underwhelming movie. It could have been nice and simplistic if it didn't try to be meta and deep. I often like when films play around the imitations of stories, but not in this movie. I give Orion in the Dark 5 out of 10 and I would not recommend. I've seen other reviews more positive, so maybe it has something going for it, but I personally can't recommend it. This was a disappointment for Dreamworks, but hopefully them having 2 more films this year means they'll be better. Also, the Dogman movie is very happy and might be my most anticipated movie already. So, Migration. I went to the cinema and saw a truly life-changing experience, but enough about Vector returning, now for the film that played after that short. Illumination hasn't released an original film since Sing in 2016, so I was cautiously optimistic for this. The trailers may look generic, but also wholesome, and the reviews seem to agree with that sentiment. Illumination hate has got smaller in recent, which I'm glad. The reasons for this are Disney hate going up, and their 2020s films have been consistently good. Nothing great or particularly unique, but they are using their skills at making safe movies really likeable. This plot is quite a basic family movie of a group of ducks migrating with the flowers overprotecting the explored. The pace for most of this movie is quite segmented as they go on to meet many friends along the way. However, I don't mind how basic this is, but a lot of situations and characters are fun. Well, the heaven scene was predictable where it was going, but it's a decent horror parody and could be scary for children watching. The part in the city was funny, and even where Bill will need a final conflict, the climax was fun. This story has very little depth, but I don't think about that when watching it for how enjoyably simple it is. It's just a movie that seems hard to hate. The comedy didn't always yawn, but the bad jokes didn't overstay their welcome. This can have some quite funny moments and play with its wackiness, especially through some of the physical comedy. This movie has impressive animation as highlighted through the scenery of its background. The flying scenes look great because of this, and are full of vibrant colours throughout. The character designs look fun and expressive even if they're not the most unique looking, and these textures just look really real. I do really like the new Illumination animation style, even if I'm still not sure if it fits with the Despicable Me franchise. Maybe I just need time to get used to how Despicable Me 4 looks. The characters in this film are just so likeable, mainly Max the protagonist. Normally I'm really tired of the overprotective parent character. This movie makes him seem understandable and a great arc across the movie of being more brave. Dax and Pam also share screen time, have their own strong moments throughout the movie. Unlike the rest of the family, Gwen is more just comic relief, but she's fine at that. But Uncle Dan is far better comic relief character of the journey. They meet some fun characters on the journey, like this pigeon and the Jamaican bird, who both had a really entertaining role in the story. The villain was a bit forced into a bigger role than he needed to. This film is better without having more screen time. This movie was just a really wholesome and likeable film to watch, and that's all you really needed to be. I give Migration a 7 out of 10, and I would recommend for how fun I find it is. It does little to nothing unique, so it can't rate it much higher, but there's certainly fun in a film this simple and charming. It's probably the Illumination film I have the least to say about, but I honestly see myself rewatching it from time to time. In conclusion, that was my thoughts on both movies, and it seems clear what my preferred one is. Migration is a movie embracing simplicity, while Orion in the Dark abandons simplicity for something worse. This is just my opinion. I've heard Orion in the Dark is quite well liked, but it's a good check on some of the more secondary products of these Universal-owned studios. I'm hoping we start to make videos in 2024 will end up better, even if less frequent than last year. Next, I still need to discuss my thoughts on animated movies released this year, even if some are already out. The end.